What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Welcome yet again to HaXanation TV. This is your host with the most, the man with the plans, Steven Haxans, and as you always know, that is HaXanS for all your beautiful souls out there. Today, I'm going to be talking about a very touchy-feely topic. Today's topic, as you've already seen probably in the title, is who am I? And this is very, very deep. This is so deep, and I really hope you give me the time and you give me that ear to actually listen to what I'm about to say. So we're going to be talking about who am I? Who are you? It's a question to ponder on. It's a question that's going to leave you dangling on your seat for a very long time in your life. One old person at some time back in my life told me that, Steven, most people are going to die. Most people are going to meet their graves before they meet themselves. And I felt like that was such a deep quote. He said most people are gonna die or are gonna meet their graves before they meet their own souls. And I want you just to step back and listen to this from a different perspective, okay? What I'm trying to say here basically is the worst phase of depression that can ever hit a man or that can ever hit a human being is when the person you are right now meets the person that you could have been. And I know I'm not trying to sound depressing. I'm not trying to shut you down or to make you look weak. But I'm trying to show you where you are at the moment, and trying to show you that the fact that you have still not realized who you are. But do not worry, you will be able to actually go deep and know who you actually are. So, who am I? Am I this body? Am I the thoughts that keep coming into my head? Am I a girl? Am I a boy? Nowadays, people don't even know their gender. Am I a doctor? Does my profession or my speciality define who I am? Am I a doctor? Am I a pilot? Is that it? Is that who I really am? Does it end at my profession? Because some people will be asked, who are you? If you asked me who I am like 10 years ago, Steve, who are you? You know what I'll tell you? I'll probably tell you, me? Well, I'm a boy. 10 years ago, I would have been, 12, 11? So I'll tell you, yo, I'm a boy, I'm 11 years old. I'm in school, probably I'm in primary school. That time I was like probably class 5, class 6, thereabouts. So I'm in primary school, I'm class 6. I love to play soccer and I love to sing. That's what I would have told you. So I would have told you that I am a singer, I am a student who's in school, I am a boy, I am a 12-year-old person. And that's the information that I would have given you at that time. And what you can see with that information that I'm giving you, I've given you 5 different aspects of who I am, and I'm going to call those aspects, I'm going to call them mini-me's. Mini-me's. Those are your mini-me's. Those I am. So you see, you've only asked one person who he is, and he has given you 5 descriptions already. He has given you that he's a soccer player, he's a musician, he's a student, he's 12, and he's a boy. So one person is giving you 5 different descriptions of who he is. Right now I ask you, and I'm going to give you some time. I'm going to give you like 10 seconds to answer this question. Just 10 seconds. Who the fuck are you? I'm sorry that I'm going back to vulgar. At times when I get into my into my flow. Vulgar might come out, so bear with me. Who are you? I want you to write it down. Take a piece of paper if you're at home. Take a piece of paper. If you don't have a piece of paper and a pen, you can use your phone and go somewhere on your notebook and just on a notepad and just type, who are you? And after you have typed that, if you're so free with whatever you have typed, if you're so at peace with whatever you have typed, if you know that you know who you are and you are so much transfixed with the idea of who you are, go ahead and comment down below and tell us who you are, and let us actually see whether what you have commented is what we are going to discover and in the end of the video. Okay, fine. So you have already written who you are. Some of you have already written your occupation. Some of you have already written your gender. Nowadays people are only identifying themselves with their gender. You see, this question, who I am, it all comes down to one word: identity. What do you identify yourself with the most is what is going to become embedded as who you are. And this is just my perspective. You can do your own research and you can go all the way, but this is the Steven Haxans perspective. Okay, what I believe for sure is that whatever you do identify yourself with is what you are and is what you're going to become. And it's going to be like this: whatever you identify yourself with the most is what you're going to start thinking about the most, and it's what you're going to start feeling the most, and it will end up what you're going to be doing the most of the time. And actions always speak louder than words. So whatever you keep doing most of the time ends up becoming a habit, and that habit becomes who you are. Do you understand me? We're going to pick a scenario, a positive scenario and a negative scenario. We're obviously going to start with a negative scenario so that you can see the contrast. Okay? Let's say for most part of your life you have identified yourself with pornography. I'm using personal shit because I also have a big problem with pornography that I am daily, tearing apart. And I have the courage to come here and actually say it because I have many men of friends of mine who I know struggle with pornography on a daily basis, but they do not have the guts to come out and talk about it and share about it. But I have a community where I deal with my own issue, and I have been dealing with it, and I'm now doing even better and better by the day. The fact that I can come here and talk about it very openly should show people that it's something that is not bothering me as it used to. I've overcome the guilt and the pain that comes with having to last over a fucking video. But that's besides the point. So someone who constantly watches pornography thinks nothing but pornography. Am I lying? If I'm lying, stop me. People who tend to watch or who tend to interact a lot with pornography, like when they wake up in the morning, the first thing that they're interacting with on their WhatsApp is pornography. They have a group of people who just send dick pics and pussy pics and pornography. So every time when he wakes up in the morning, he's interacting with pornography. When he gets out of the street, the only thing that he can be able to look at is women's asses. When he comes back at home, he goes back on Telegram. Telegram is full of pornography, and then ends up in Pornhub in the middle of the night, and then he wanks and he goes to sleep. That is his routine. So you see, in most part of his day, it's spent interacting with pornography. So what do you expect is going to be on the mind of this person most of the time? If he's interacting most of the time with pornography, what do you think is going to be in his mind most of the time? The thoughts that will start coming into his mind, whether they're cumulative thoughts, whether they're compulsive thoughts, whether they are intentional thoughts, the thoughts that are going to be coming in his mind 80% of the time will be thoughts to deal with pornography. Why? Because he's interacting with pornography most of the time. Okay? Now, if his thoughts are triggered towards pornography, what that means is his emotions will also be triggered towards a pornographic way, meaning his emotions will be triggered towards lust, his emotions will be triggered towards sexual pleasure in one way or the other. So what he has been interacting with most of his life is now what he's going to start thinking about most of his life. It's what he's going to start feeling for most of his life, and then it's what he's going to start acting out for most of his life. He's going to start acting out these feelings every day, acting out these feelings. So you find every day he's fapping, every day he's fapping, every day he's fapping, every day he's fapping. Let's say even the problem is not pornography. Let's say the problem is you are an alcoholic, you drink alcohol, fine. So every day you interact with alcohol. How? Every day you are somewhere near a bar, or your friends are usually hanging out in clubs, or your friends are usually somewhere mahali backstreet wanakunywa. So the people you're interacting with are drunkards. You're always interacting with drunk content, with alcoholic content. So what's going to happen eventually? The thoughts that are going to start coming in your mind are going to be thoughts of alcohol. And then you start feeling the urge of taking alcohol. And then now you start doing the drinking. Now you start doing alcohol, not doing, but like drinking alcohol. So whatever you identify yourself with is what you're going to become, is what I'm saying. The same way, in a positive view, if you identify yourself with positive things, choose whichever positive thing you want to choose. Let's say football. Let's say someone who's just dedicated to, like me, I love football. Let's say someone who's just dedicated to playing football. He wants his life to be about football. What this person needs to do is he needs to expose himself and live around things which are about football. Meaning the first thing when he wakes up he should be looking at is a picture of a jersey. The next thing he should be looking at is a ball. Then the next thing that he should be looking at when he wakes up is the pitch where he's going to go practice. So if this person is surrounded by things that are all about football, then even his thoughts will start getting geared towards football. And after his thoughts are geared towards football, his feelings will be geared towards football. His passion will be geared toward football. And then after that, his actions will be football. And everything that he'll be knowing, everything that he is, will be nothing but football. So yet again, I'm coming back to identity. It is what you identify yourself with. We live in a world where we have decided to identify ourselves with the most minute, unnecessary, cringe-like things that exist in the world today. We have decided to identify ourselves with the things that do not satisfy our soul. We have chosen to identify ourselves with the things that do not satisfy our mind and our soul. They only satisfy our body and our materialistic well-being. Listen to me and listen to me carefully. We identify ourselves with our job. Why? Because our job gives us money. We identify ourselves with our husbands. Wives identify themselves with their husbands. Why? Because their husband gives them the luxury that they deserve. Alright? People identify themselves with materialistic things. girls nowadays, mostly the generation that I have, or the generation that I am in, they all identify themselves with their face. If you're a pretty girl, and you have a pretty, or you have a big bum, or you have good titties, or you have a good waist and a fire body, you identify yourself with your body, meaning your body has become your source of identity. The only nowadays, like, let's pick an example. Why not? Let's pick an example. I'm going to use a kind of example. Someone like Aziad. Aziad is a socialite. Choose any socialite from your country, because you might be listening to me from a different country. Choose any socialite from your country that you know, a woman, a girl, that she has been identified, and go to her Instagram. You'll see that the only pictures that she's posting there are either pictures of her ass, her titties, or her face, or her curvaceous body parts, I mean. This is a woman who has identified herself fully with nothing but her physicality, with her body. She has identified herself with her body. Okay? Now, what people do not understand is, okay, fine, because you're young and you have that youth, you identify yourself with your body, let's say for women, and because you've identified yourself with the body, you start showcasing your body, and you start showing us your body. And because obviously men are thirsty outside here, they will eat up your content, and they will give you the validation and the attention that you need. But here's the thing. One thing about materialistic identification, or physical identification, which leads to answering the question of who am I as a physical product or as a materialistic product, because anyone who has answered I am a doctor, or I am a nurse, or I am a engineer, or I am a pilot, anyone who has answered that question in those brackets has identified themselves with their materialistic earnings, with their materialistic being. I want you to get this analogy. You are not your career belongs to you. You are not your career belongs to you. You should have that thin distinction, that thin line that separates you from your career. Am I getting am I speaking to somebody? Am I making sense? You're not your career. So when you say I am a doctor, that means you have identified yourself with nothing else but being a doctor. You've labeled yourself as a doctor. That is your full identity. Doctor so and so, engineer so and so, teacher so and so, professor so and so. You have identified yourself with your with a materialistic being. Listen to me, and listen to me carefully. The career is what you own, but the career does not own you. When the career owns you, it's different. But you should come and realize that you own your career. Without you, there is no career. Without you, then you couldn't have been a doctor if you were not there. So we needed you first, and then we needed you to have the skills and the capabilities of being a doctor. You understand me? So you have to separate your career from who you are, and you have to come to the realization of who you actually fucking are. Now, on to brighter things. You'll ask yourself, okay, Steve, you've already told us we are not what we think we are, and you seem to have an understanding of who you are. So Steve, who are you? Tell us who you are. Well, I'm going to answer this question, don't worry. And I'll tell you who I am in a minute. You see me? I was just like you. I used to think I am all these things, all these mini-me's, all these eyes. I never knew who I actually am. I never knew my potential. I never knew my true being. To answer this question, who I am or who am I, you don't have to add any knowledge. As a matter of fact, in order for you to answer the question, who am I, you don't need to add any knowledge. You need to remove all the things that have been programmed into you. You need to release all that extra baggage. You need to clear all that extra, or peel that extra skin off that has been put on top of your natural being. Look and listen to me carefully. I'm not giving you new knowledge. I'm just revealing who you are. And that is the point. People think that knowing who you are is a process of gaining new knowledge and gaining new knowledge until you mature and you are able to now answer that question and know who you are. It's not about gaining new knowledge. It is about the actual opposite. It's about going back to your roots. It's about going back deep to who it's about going back. And this is a process that Jesus called the process of being born again. The process whereby the friend at midnight asked Jesus, is it us now crawling back into our mother's wombs? Do we have to crawl back into our mother's wombs? And to some extent, I wouldn't say like literally you have to climb back to your mother's womb, but what this metaphor meant was, it's not like you're climbing back to your mother's womb, but it's like you're going back to basics. You're going back until to that time when you're born, and then you become born again. It basically means tearing up the flesh, tearing up all that programming that we have been given by our parents throughout all our life, tearing out all that sadness, all that trauma, tearing out all that corrupt teaching and all that corrupt programming that we have. Is tearing out all those mini me's, tearing all those eyes apart and finding that shell that is deep hidden within you. You do not need to go out there to find the truth. The truth is within you. All you have to do is go deep within yourself and pull it out. The truth of who you are is hidden within you. Pull it out. I want to ask you a question. When you're writing on a pen, or when you're using a pen to write on a book, is it your hand which is writing, or is it you using your hand to write? I'm going to repeat this question. When you're writing using a pen and a book, and you're using your pen to write on a book, is it your hand which is doing the writing for you, or are you the one who's commanding your hand to write for you? Is your hand the one commanding you to write, or are you the one commanding your hand to write? That's the point. That's the point. When you're using these eyes to watch this video, or when you're using these eyes to look at the street or look at something, are your eyes the one looking, or is there someone who's looking through your eyes? You have to know who you are. You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are the soul. You are that being of light that shines within, and that being of light has come to experience the world. That being of light has come to experience the world as a human being. That being of light could have come as a bird. That being of light could have come as a monkey. It could have come as an elephant, but it reincarnated, and it incarnated into this realm, into this earth, as a human being. You are not the body. You are not your physical materials. You are not that car that you have. You are not the money in your bank. You are not those things. You are far much deeper than that. You are that piece of light that came from God into the world and you will go back to God. You are a piece of God. You're a piece of Jah that is living in existence in this world, that is living in existence with other pieces of Jah. You understand what I'm saying? You are not the body. You are not your mind. You're not even your thoughts. You are that what you identify yourself with, and you are that which God created you to be. And God created that soul, and that soul incarnated into a human being. You understand? So there's someone within you that is working for you, and that person that is working for you is who you are. Now, of course, I've already told you not to identify yourself with all these other things, not to identify yourself with the materialistic things, not to identify yourself with and your job, and not identify yourself with your gender, because nowadays I see people identifying themselves with they, them, he, she, whatever, I don't know, all that pronoun crap. Identify yourself with something that is more than materialistic. Your career can end in any day. That car that you have can crash any day. The money that you have in your bank account can be frozen. How many times have we seen rich people getting their bank accounts frozen? Yeah? So, identify yourself with something bigger than yourself. That's the answer. Identify yourself with something bigger than yourself. Identify yourself with something bigger than yourself. Identify yourself with something which is bigger than yourself. And something which is bigger than yourself is that which created you. Identify yourself not with your job, not with your career, not with the amount of money that you have, but identify yourself with God. Identify yourself with the most big thing in the world, the most big thing in the universe. Identify yourself with the person that created your own soul. Identify yourself with Jah. Because as I said earlier, from Jah you came, and from Jah you shall return, right? Because you're a being of light that came from Jah and will return back to Jah. So if you're a being of light that came out from Jah, the only person you can identify yourself with is Jah. You can identify yourself with God. Go identify yourself with Jah. Don't identify yourself with the things of the earth, with the things of materialistic things. Identify yourself with God. Hindus and Tibetans and Buddhists understand that when they are identifying themselves, they do not identify themselves with things of the earth, but rather they identify themselves with love. They say, I am love. They don't say, I am Steven, or I am, a transgender. No, they say, I am love. Because the biggest thing in this world is love. Both in the Bible and in the Quran, it has been written, God is love. So if God is love, and when I say I am love, that means I have identified myself with God. Do you understand where I'm coming from? You need to identify yourself with something bigger than what you are. You have to come to that realization that you're bigger than your career, you're bigger than your bank, you're bigger than all those things, because you are a being of light. You're not your body and you're not your mind. All those things will fade away. So what happens to that woman who's on OnlyFans selling her body in the next 50 years, when now she's way past menopause and her body has now deteriorated and now she's a grandma? Where will she get money? Where will she build her life from? Where will she build her identity from? When someone asks that woman 50 years from now, a woman who did OnlyFans, if she's asked, who are you? She won't be able to explain. She won't be able to put her finger on it. Because even her herself, she doesn't know who she is in the next 50 years. Who are you? You need to start identifying yourself with something which is bigger than yourself. You need to start identifying yourself with something which is tremendous than you. Not things which are beneath you. Your body is not who you are. Your body is beneath you. And that's why when you die, you keep living and your body decays and rots. Because your body is beneath you. Okay? Identify yourself with something that will live forever. I identify myself with love. I tell people I am love. That's all I am. I'm a ball of love. You can't pin me down. I am love. Yeah? It's who I am. It's my essence. I am love. I speak love. I talk love. I am love. You have to identify yourself with something bigger than yourself. Identify yourself with the universe. Identify yourself with the galaxy. Identify yourself with nature. Something bigger than yourself. But we are here identifying ourselves with the cars in our garage, bro. With the bitches in our beds, or the bitches that we have fucked. Now I find some of my bros trying to flash at me how many bitches they have slept with. Nowadays, body count is a flex, and we want to identify ourselves who has the highest body count, or we want to identify ourselves with who has the best drip than the other person. I identify myself with something bigger than myself. I identify myself with love. I identify myself with the universe. I identify myself with Mother Nature. It's bigger than it's bigger than who I am. It's bigger than myself. And what happens when I identify myself with the universe is that I start, listen to me, and this goes when I started the video. When I start identifying myself with the universe, what happens is I start looking at the universe. I start socializing with the universe. I start being part of the universe. And even all the thoughts that start coming in my head are thoughts from the universe. You understand where I'm coming from? Then the feelings that come in my body are feelings from the universe. The actions that come from me will be actions directly given from the universe. Do you understand where I'm coming from, guys? If I identify myself with true love, genuine true love from God, then that means all the thoughts that I get will be geared towards love, true love from God. And all the emotions and the feelings that I get will be centered towards true feelings of love. And the actions that I'll put towards the world, the actions that will come out and spring from me, will be actions of love, actions of pure, genuine love. It is what you identify yourself with that is going to determine who you're going to be. I'm not talking about the skills that you have. For example, I am a digital marketer. I am a digital marketer. That's my profession. It's not who I am. It's my profession. But it's never going to be who I am. Now, because I identify myself with love, what do? Because I have a skill of digital marketing and I identify myself with love, every time when I do digital marketing, I do digital marketing in love. When I give services to the people who employ me, I give those services with love, with genuine, pure love. Do you get where I'm coming from? So let's say you're a doctor who has identified himself with what? With peace. meaning you're a peaceful doctor. Anytime someone comes into your office, not only do they come healed, but they come. Not only do they leave your hospital healed, but they leave your hospital in peace, with peace in their hearts. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Let's say you have identified yourself. Some people have identified themselves with truth. People like Martin Luther King Jr., they have identified themselves with truth. So what do? Because Martin Luther King Jr. was a politician, he used his politics, his skill, which is politics, and he delivered politics in a truthful manner. People like Harriet Tubman, who believed in freedom. Let me use Kenyan guys. Jomo Kenyatta, our first president, believed in freedom, and he used his political knowledge and skill power to pass his identity of freedom, because he identified himself as a freedom fighter, as a man of freedom, a man of courage, and a man of that genuine freedom inside of him. And what did he do? He used his skill, his profession, which is politics, to make sure that freedom comes alive. So I'm using my skill, which is either this podcast or any other digital marketing services that I offer, and I give it out in pure divine love. Like right now when I'm talking to you guys, I'm doing it out of nothing but love. Love for you, love for myself, and love for the work that I do. It's never easy, but I do it because of the love that's within me. And every time I realize that love within me, it's simple for me to do these things. It's simple for me to be who I am. It's simple for me to relax and just be comfortable in my shell, be comfortable in who I am. Because once I become true to my purpose, true to who I am, then I am easy. No longer do I have to walk as if I have a target behind my back, as if I'm trying to impress anyone. I'm not trying to make this content to impress anyone. I'm making this content to help someone. At least there are one or two people who will actually listen and benefit from it. All I'm saying is you have to really know who you are. And of course, I do not expect that you'll go in front of an office interview, and when they ask you, give us a brief description of who you are, and you stand in front of the office interview and tell them, well, me, I am love. Or me, I am freedom. Well, people have different ways of understanding things, and they might not be at the place of your understanding. So you might want to just talk to them and dumbing it down. Most of spiritual awakening is just having to dumb down all your conversations so that they can start making sense to the regular person. Trying to break it down so that the layman person can actually understand. And I really hope you have actually understood the few things that I've talked about in this video. This is only part 1. I'll be coming back with part 2, whereby we're going to be diving so much deeper into who am I, into learning the difference between the body, the mind, and the soul. We'll be coming back to actually see what is the soul, how is the soul connected to who am I, and we'll be coming and actually doing a lot of discussions about the same. So I really do hope you have liked this topic. I hope you have subscribed as well. I hope you have hit that post notification bell. And I really hope you have loved this session and you have actually learned something from this session, and that you'll actually listen to this podcast and come out with something that holds weight. So first and foremost, realize that you are not the body, you are not the mind. Those are just limiting identities. You have limited your identity. Don't let your identity be limited. Let your identity be boundless. Let it be unlimited. Let it be stretching to the ends of the universe and back. So you're not the body, you're not the mind, but you are the soul. And in the next podcast, we'll be discussing what is this soul that you are? How does this soul come to be? Who is this soul? So that's what we're going to be covering in the next podcast. So make sure you tune in so that you can actually hear that. But remember, you need to now start identifying yourself with something bigger than yourself. Before we end the show, I'd like to give you a small assignment, and before the next time that you're going to meet each other, which I really hope is going to be soon, I want you to sit down for a minute and ask yourself in your head, what is that thing that I can identify myself with, which is bigger than myself? Take your time, do not worry. Find your core. Ask yourself, what is that one thing that I can identify myself with, which is bigger than who I am? Which is not my body, which is not my mind, which is not materialistic in any way, or which is not physical in any way. Identify yourself with something bigger. I chose to identify myself with God. Identify myself with love, because God is love. Who are you going to identify? Who and what are you going to identify yourself with? Next, in this session, we're going to now be coming and talking about the soul, and we're going to be coming and talking about how we also, whatever you identify becomes part of who you are, and we're going to be coming and seeing how you become a part of whatever you identify yourself with, that you become connected to whatever you identify yourself with, that you and whatever you identify yourself with become one. The same way that Jesus said, I and the Father are one, and you cannot separate me from the Father. It's because Jesus identified himself with God. And so, because he identified himself with God, he and God became one. But do not worry, that's a story for the next podcast. So make sure you've hit those post notifications so that you do not miss this next podcast. Make sure you have subscribed, make sure you have liked, and share this with any other person who would like to listen to it, probably when they're driving to work, or in their rooms alone, just trying to have a good time. It's your host with the most, the man with the plan, Steven Haxans, and that is HaXanation for all you beautiful souls out there. Thank you yet again for always joining me and for listening in. I hope you have come out with something lovely today. I would like to make this longer, but that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much. Deuces.